very much. With banning everything out in the first game, it allowed us to have a lot of those top-tier mid laners coming through in the next set. I'm not particularly surprised to see the Orianna taken off of the board. I do wonder if we're going to get another ban coming on through towards this mid lane to sort of round things out for us. The Karma ban is interesting. The Karma and the Poppy bans together tells me that there could potentially be something pretty interesting coming through from Weibo, potentially something with a lot of mobility that you're trying to play through in the bottom lane. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you know, Poppy and Rel both feel like pretty big counters to a champion like Rel. Poppy and Karma, sorry, are both big counters to Rel. We'll have to see though. The Nico ban comes across, and Weibo are going to pick up the Aurora. They had access to something like an Azir, but they'll go after the Aurora nonetheless. Xiaohu's champion that, if you missed it in their first series for Weibo, had a pentakill on, so can't hate that logic.
Very worth going back and watching that game. It was a particularly fun one to get to see, and it is something that Weibo have been liking to play towards quite a lot. The response out of BLG usually is for them to pick themselves up a jungler and an ADC early on. They do really like to just get Vipers situated as quickly as possible, and in this game it is going to be going on towards the Ashe. Now the Ashe is in an interesting spot right now where if you're feeling like a sniper with those enchanted crystal arrows, you can completely take over a game, and it allows you to have a lot more commit to engage elsewhere that can go flying in on top of that enchanted crystal arrow. I would really like to see something like the Jiejie or the Malphite here. I think those two are the best pairings that you get alongside the Ashe. It both gives you that protection for it and the follow-up onto those engages.
You're saying all the smart things, Bloxxer. I still think why we put Viper on Ashe. Me. Boring.
Well, you don't want to watch him click 20,000 times per team fight to perfectly position his champion. That's not the high skill ceiling you're looking for.
Nah, man, I want him to have 8 billion dashes and blink around all the enemies as he does 8 billion damage. Yeah, so, it's a best of 5. We'll get at least, if BLG win this game, one more Viper game to see him pick a bit more of a movement-based champion. But the Ashe brings a lot of the value that you were talking about here as we get another staple jungle matchup here. It's Xin Zhao versus that Pantheon. But with Jiejie on the Pantheon, want to see it feels like Weibo are going to try to get out on the map and look for those pick plays early like BLG were doing in game 1.
Yeah, they've clearly said, hey, sitting back and just allowing the game to come to us didn't work so well for us, so let's try to push the pace of this game forwards just a little bit further. I think they probably want to grab themselves something on into the... Ooh, I was going to say potentially take your ADC at this point, but no, going to completely change pace and just go towards the Renekton up in the top lane. One of those picks that you can be pretty safe on overall already. You're going to have things like the Ambessa taken off of the board and the Rumble banned away, so you're pretty open to grab this one up. It really does just index you further into this overall teamfight composition, and from the second rounds of picks, you're very much going to need some more dive buddies to just keep the pressure high in this one.
Well, Bloxxer, I'll say this. I understand the Poppy ban now. If this was the comp Weibo we're going to want.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense right here. The fact that Karma gets taken out this early and you still haven't picked your bot lane continues to be fascinating. We'll see what Weibo decide to ban out in the next couple of rounds as BLG round out their first round with a Gnar. Now, the Gnar alongside the Jiejie, I like that pairing. I think that can be really fun during the team fights. Still, a lot of this engage is pretty telegraphed out of BLG. Weibo, they're going to have some time to react. You know when this is all coming.
And I still really feel like, especially for BLG, I don't really, have the full understanding of what this comp could be, in the essence that there's a lot of picks they could still go with support, and mainly mid laner for Knight, that I think could dictate how they want to play this game, because Ashe, Gnar, and Xin Zhao doesn't scream out something very clear, as much as like this Weibo top side is. So we'll have to see where Knight's head at is, especially. Obviously, they are the ones that are going to have a hold of that counter pick. Might not go towards Knight a lot. We do see a lot of support counter pick traded in the LPL, and with how heavy the bans are coming towards some of these supports, now with the Seraphine taken away, things are going to get slim for both On and Erha.
Yeah, I mean, both of these supports are going to have a lot less that they really like to try to play around early on available to them. I mean, at this point, the sort of top tier of supports that you're still thinking of are the Lulu, but you need a specific kind of ADC to be able to pair that up alongside. You can put it alongside the Ashe. Not one of my favorite pairings for the Ashe really at all. I think you work a lot better when you can get a little bit more aggressive with it, try to play around how much poke damage you could do in the early laning phase. I think that's part of why the Karma ban looks good, even though you didn't know the Ashe was going to be picked this early on.
All right, well, I like the little logic there Bloxxer trying to decide for this pick. We lose Lulu, we lose Misfortune, so this is a wonky draft. We've now taken away all non-engaged support champions in this essence. Both teams are handshaking the idea like, yeah, we don't really want to counter either support, engaged style in lane on either side, but what we do get is a repeat of Knights LeBlanc. He's gonna take this up against the Aurora, so I would say both of our mid laners are now playing their staple champions from their opening series.
Yeah, I mean, Knight pasted Care with that pickup. He was able to go, I think it was like 12-3 on that champion. He was completely taking over the game. And that is sort of the dive buddy we were talking about. Not necessarily as tanky as you would think for a dive buddy, but if you could just weave your way in and out of the fight quickly, that can be fun. And we were talking about, hey, pokey, engagey kind of supports, and they're not really being too much available in terms of non-engage options. Well, this is one potentially. For Weibo, the dives bot lane are going to be everything to them. What can you get going as early as possible?
Well, now we know why the Poppy Karma bans came out, and we did see Weibo try this, I believe it was in a Game 3. Funnily enough, the Caitlyn Elise combo that was famous for Elk and On, that's just what makes this poetic, right? Is that Elk is now saying, hey, On, I'm going to try our bottom lane that had some high highs and some low lows, and now we get to see the ingenuity here from On. He gets to match up against it, and his answer is the Shen support. What a draft, Bloxxer. This feels like a Game 4 or 5 Fearless draft, but no, we're Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're going to get the Shen coming through this early on right here, we did get a single game of Shen support during the regular season, so it wasn't completely unpicked at that point. Still, it's been a long time, I feel like, since the Shen support has really been at the top tier of play. It was On that picked it up as well for himself, so he has shown it to us before. Into the Caitlyn Elise right here. I'm a little bit worried. I feel like you get pushed around quite heavily during this matchup. Still, if you are able to just get one of those taunts off and the slows that can be provided through the Ashe, that is pretty nice. Still, if you are not able to find one of those taunts, if you ever try for one and miss, yeah, you might just die.
It's a low econ bottom lane, at least for Viper and On, but you're definitely sapping the power of one of the great performers from Game 1 in Viper on this Ashe. It's a risk the BLG are willing to take for their classic solo lane strength. And we'll see if they can get themselves to a decisive 2-0 spot. Weibo just dropped their first game of the playoffs so far, albeit a very short playoff run for them yet. And BLG looking to continue an undefeated streak through these playoffs. It's all going to come down to the very familiar battle arena we all know and love. So, Bloxxer, let's get set to go back to Summoner's Rift for our gaming bowl, as we like to call it, between Weibo and Bilibili.
Let's go.
So I'm going to give it a BLG, but on the crowd cam, my one man in the glasses for Weibo, he wins the energy award. He was full head cocked back, like screaming it. So I'm just loving the playoff arena atmosphere. Hold on here. I thought Caitlyn Elise was supposed to push around the bottom lane. On gets a pretty clutch taunt, and all of a sudden Erha is down about half HP.
And this is what I was talking about, right? If you're able to get yourself a taunt off, the oppression of an early Ashe in lane is massive. That being said, you're very much expecting this to be majority push for Elk and Erha if they're able to establish a little bit of early on control. And the fight over this wave is going to be incredibly important. Getting that level 2 first could be the instant turn to try and look for an early kill if you're in a position to do so as Weibo.
Well, they're both going to get to 2 at the same time. Obviously, an extra ability to Erha on this Elise, but the Cocoon's going to go wide, and Viper says, all right, On, we're stepping right up. He'll speed up. They're going to force Elk to flash away from a taunt, and the trap will not land in trade. Elk already down. This flash is a problem, and they're starting to multiply, especially as Shun goes for this wraparound, and nobody's put any vision down yet. Elk is flashless. He is in imminent danger, and we'll finally realize it when it becomes light. He's going to connect for the slow. Good Cocoon there from Erha. Flash forward from On. He gets the taunt onto Erha. He goes into the repel, flashes away, but Shun follows the flash with his own. First blood is found, but here comes the cavalry. Jiejie how do you find this cleanup? There's a lot of summoners down, but Elk can't really step up. The vision is really bad for him. He's going to jump right on top of Shun. Can't even find that trade kill. Another trunk clutch taunt from On, and they'll go 1-for-1. Elk tries to cleanse off some of the slows from this Ashe, but Viper follows forward, and Viper finds the third kill. 2.5 minutes in, we have 4 deaths on the board.
Yeah, this is a proper LPL series right here. We've got base races, we've got early kills down in the bottom lane as well in this second game. And what a set of plays right here from BLG. Great recognition that Elk and Erha are going to be trying very hard to get their early push going and establish some control in this lane. That means you should be able to get a wraparound going as Jun, kind of whatever happens. In the end, because Viper and On are able to fight back as well as they do, it's a bit of a harder play. You're quite close to the tower right here, but still, the damage between this trio of champions early on is going to be more than enough. And there's Jiejie right here. You've got to try for something, but as much as the health bars are kind of low, it's so hard to be able to actually pick up any of these kills. This taunt from On as well very, very nearly saves his jungler's life, and it still does guarantee them 2 kills back.
I mean, the real difference maker in that play for me, Bloxxer, is the fact that so little attention gets paid to Viper. He has the bigger health bar, and as always, perfect with his slows on that Ashe pickup. And BLG are off to the races. We saw a bit of a wonky early game in game 1, so we didn't get to really push the classic BLG narrative of the full court press. It's in full order now for this game 2, especially now the bottom lane has a lot more of the pressure alleviated. But as I say that, Jiejie is looking for a dive in revenge, but Shun is here to cover.
Well, they don't know he's
Jiejie
here.
Gets into the brush in time, but Shun, there he is. He went around to trick Jiejie. He's going to pounce on Viper, but he cleanses the stun. Oh, man, Shun and BLG are reading Weibo like a book right now.
That was really nice right there for Jun. Just knew that there was going to be more aggression down towards the bottom side of the map. Both junglers investing a lot of time down there, and it's certainly working out better for BLG. 2-0-2 now on top of Viper, on a champion that you were unexcited to watch him play. See, this is why, as much as it isn't the
Bloxxer.
flashiest gameplay, it's going to be awesome.
You know about reverse jinxes. Come on. I was playing the long... No, I'm kidding. You're right. You caught me. You caught me. I was not excited for this Ashe pickup. But hey, he's making it work. Oh my god, guys, there are other lanes on the map showing. Has this guy even finished his clear? I mean, who needs to clear camps when you're clearing out champions? Elk dies for a second time. Shun has set up a permanent residence at this bot side.
And why not? At this point, you can just completely take over the game from there. Knight just about going to be able to flash away. Okay, that was a little bit risky right there. Xiaohu looking for a solo kill. And yeah, like you said, Slayer, there are other lanes on the map. Now, how much we're going to get to see of them, that's the real question.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a mid lane look thanks to Xiaohu with the flash combination. But with how much action has gone towards this bot side, we could talk about, again, this marquee marksman matchup and maybe look at it historically. And, hey, you know, numbers-wise, it is pretty close. I will say this is not factoring in the current series, so to be very precise with math Bloxxer, Viper right now is 17-0 against Elk. 17-10, not O. Oh my gosh. 17-10.
O would be bad. 17
O would be very bad.
Terrible. No, these two have had some truly legendary battles so far, and you have to expect you're going to get a few more of them, at least in this series, and potentially, as we were talking about earlier, in a repeat later on down the line in these playoffs. You have to love it. These two are playing some of the best ADCs we've got in the league right now. But so far, Viper kind of had Elk's number in this one. Was just looking better with his Varus in the previous game. The poke was really nice from him overall. And was just able to hit a couple of key chains of corruptions. And now in this one, 2-0-3. Already getting himself well on the way to that first completed item. And Ashe, who's ahead, is just so oppressive. A single slow hits you, and kind of what do you do?
It's so hard. You really just can't walk it off. You have to use the net, the repel, but even that can't get you out of the spot. And I want to give more praise over to On for the Shen pick, but first we're going to have a mid lane appearance. Nice chains coming across from Knight here. Xiaohu doesn't even have a chance to flash away. It's so seamless, the setup between Shun and Knight, and they've claimed themselves another kill together.
Shun has just been such a revelation right here for BLG, and I know we talk about this quite a lot every time a new jungler comes in, but in this split, he really has just looked so good at pairing up with everybody else. He roams around the map really well with Knight, he roams around the map really well with On. They get together so often to go and impact on the rest of the map, and it's nice to see it happening just in the mid lane as well. As again, we watch just as soon as a single taunt comes on through from On, you have to run away. You can't play the game as Weibo in the bot lane.
So, Bloxxer, I want to use that as a moment to talk more about the Shen pickup.
Yeah.
If I keep saying talk about the Shen, will Shun just show up where I'm looking? Oh, there's the Ash Arrow, the ultimate advantage. Flash for Flash. Erha gets away this time from the taunt. Jiejie's coming in with the Grand Starvable. Shun's already taken down Elk. Jiejie jumps on top of Viper. Erha can't even find that trade. Viper flashes away just in the nick of time. And now Jiejie has no chance to find that trade kill. Knight covers for Xiaohu trying to roam down to cover for this bottom lane. But it's a toxic wasteland for Weibo. They can't do anything right on this side of the map. And it's Xiaohu that has to use the Between Worlds to once again back away from bottom lane.
Still, you do use up enough resources down on the bottom side of the map that you can't instantly turn around and go and pick up this Drake for yourselves. The resets are going to come on through for BLG, but at 8-1, just 8 minutes into this game, a 3,500 gold lead. And you're right, every time you talk about a lane, Jun appears, picks up a kill for his team, and leaves.
Man, and like you mentioned, it's now, this game is already teetering on Overville at this point. 3.5k gold lead. Sure, some of the neutral objectives haven't been picked up, but here's the main problem, Bloxxer. You know, if this were game 1, we could say, oh yeah, it's a scale angle as cope. This comp doesn't scale. This at least doesn't scale. It falls off a cliff and it's already getting battered around like this by the Shen.
Yep, it just gets worse at this point forwards. Still, we have seen some Elises kind of find ways to get back into the game. You are a Cocoon bot later on. That's kind of the main thing that you're really giving to your team, but that's not nothing. It is a decent piece of CC in and amongst a big, messy team fight where you can pretty easily lose track of what the Elise is doing, but it is not a team composition overall that has any really good scaling. The Renekton turns into a bit of your front line with all the healing through the ulti at some point. That's something to play around.
Oh, Viper! Wow. Right on point with his sniper arrow, and Jiejie has to flash off of his own blue buff. At what point do we have to quarantine the entire bot half of the map for Weibo? At what point? Well, they're not done fighting yet. They're like, okay, blue buff, that's okay. Gromp, we're going to make a stand here. Or are they? Because they know On's over the wall. They don't know where Viper is. They now finally mark Knight. The Gromp's going to reset soon. Goes forward with a little bit of a Wind Becomes Lightning combo, but just a little poking and prodding. We are really fighting all out on this Gromp. Viper gets the slow arrows onto Erha. He has to go up into the rappel. He's going to come down the same spot. Cressing going to come down from Shun. That means no, Elk. You don't get to push any damage through. It's all for my Pookie Viper, who picks up one of the 2 kills as BLG continue the route.
And it should just be this Gromp going on over the final little extra bit of gold that BLG want as they just continue to dominate this game. I mean, look at Elk right now, barely able to step himself up to the wave to try to absorb a little bit of gold. The whole rest of the map has been incredibly neglected, but it is just the bot lane game so far.
My hat goes off to On for the Shen pick. Now seeing it on the map, I realize why it's just so broken into that Caitlyn Elise, and so cool to see him understand the matchup that he's played so much. Oh, hey, Ultimate Chicken. I was waiting for it to make an appearance. Oh, it's not Ultimate Chicken. There's a top laner here. There's also a support coming, by the way. Here's On, Stand United. Hey, guys. Heard we wanted to 2v2 in this top side. And Erha thinking, all right, hold on. Support's got to be a part of this. I'm going to look for the dive. There's the Cocoon landed. They're going to dive after On. He gets the taunt onto Erha. Zika flashes after Bin. Erha goes after him with the repel. They do get the kill onto On, and JJ is going to hop right on top of Bin. Weibo making things work on the side of the map they're allowed to play the game on.
Yeah, you had to just move away from Viper, who at this point is way too strong to really be dealing with. Knight as well, not able to get involved. Luden's completed for him, so he could well have been a game changer. And this is what you've got to do. To try to get back into this game as Weibo, you've just got to out-rotate on the rest of the map. Yes, you've got a Shen to try to play into, but Stand United is going to be a very long cooldown. And as JJ, you could just try rotate onto the map. Take Xiaohu with you, potentially, if you need that extra little bit of damage, and try to pick up these kills on the side lanes. Still, they weren't able to turn around and then pick themselves up the objective, so BLG, they're going to be able to grab themselves up all 3 of these grubs as well. Oh and maybe a kill too.
The Shun Masterclass seems to have no end in sight right now. Just a little bit too far away for get Zika with another Wind Becomes Lightning, but I would like to direct our loyal viewers to the 2 inventories of our junglers right now, and Give me your immediate reaction. You included, Bloxxer.
Oof, that's a certified oh no moment right here, where as a jungler, you come back out onto the map, you quickly check what it is your opponent is working with, you've got some scraps together, and you have a look over on the other side, and oh no, and you've got to remember as well, these are some magical footwear in inventories too, right? So you didn't even pay for these, you have actual scraps. Finally, Jiejie gonna be able to complete his first item, but yeah, Jun, he is all over the map right here, and he's just so far ahead. 1.6k.
And it could get even greater as this game goes on. So Weibo are thinking, again, what is our only option at this point? It's impossible to gank a LeBlanc, especially with flash up. Our only option is Bin. And this has been a tree-bearing fruit across our series so far. Bin was caught a couple of times on the Yorick, but it just feels like Weibo have no way to really play on this map. I mean, even, well, you can't dive Bin, especially as it goes Mega. It's impossible. Jiejie feels completely jailed out of this game, too. Unless Bin makes me eat my words and walks up on a mid-wave.
Loves walking too far forwards.
Yeah, and he's going to go mini.
Jiejie's playing the long game.
Yeah, he's going to pounce right as he goes mini. And you see, all right. Okay, at some point, Jiejie, we have to go. I mean, Zika, I know he has dominance, but you're giving away health. Guys, can we pounce on him already? Oh my god, he hopped out of stun range, and now he got back under turret. Zika's gonna go after him, slice and dice, goes into the dominance, and this time we'll have enough health to get it done, but that was way closer than it needed to be. All right, Shun, are we gonna really test our power here? 1 versus 2, he's gonna flash, the wind becomes lightning, he goes right in after Zika, crescent guard, but he doesn't have enough damage to get Zika. Won't be able to find that trade kill. Still wants to go 1 versus 2, cycling the cooldowns. Oh boy. Here comes the big bad knight, and Stand United on. He's like, I'm here to take up tower for you guys. Down goes Zika, and Jiejie will be next to fall. It was all an elaborate ruse by Shun to get BLG the real trade.
We've been talking about how good it is when BLG have got Knight onto a heavy roaming champion. Well, the LeBlanc may not have a realm warp, but can certainly move around the map really well. And with On able to join them on any of these big fights, for Weibo, you have to just turn tail and run the second that you make a play. You don't have the luxury of making a good play and then sticking around for a while. You make a play, you get a kill, you get out instantly. Bot lane might now be under threat as well.
This is Knight. He's going to TP right into a trap, into a cocoon. Hello, Knight! That was a very audacious TP. Bin's going to run down Elk. He's going to try and flash into the brush, but that brush has vision on it. Vipers come over from the mid lane. Bin with a big Gnar bar. As TP's galore come out, Xiaohu has TP'd in from the minion wave as Jiejie shows up. Between worlds comes down. Xiaohu has to hop away. Only's going to flash, get the top down, and now Viper can let these arrows sing. Weibo, even when they feel like they have the punished BLG, it just feels like they're playing 6-on-5 right now.
Absolutely, the map is just so much smaller for Weibo, and Jiejie is also going to get tagged up by that Wind Becomes Lightning. Should just about be able to get himself under tower. Jun, though, he thinks he can keep going.
Oh my god, Shun! Turrets are just a little added speed bump in the way towards more kills. Erha's going to go down, and BLG are at an efficient kill a minute in this game, too.
And they can just keep the pace of this game high. Knight as well, taking a good chunk out of Zika. Does have himself the ultimate available, so should be able to keep stepping on forwards. Knight, bit of a weird TP down towards the bottom side of the map, but clearly not able to be punished by Weibo. Zika dead?
I mean, I know he's going to have to pop Dominus, but I mean...
If Elk isn't there, I think you still die through Dominus.
Well, I guess we'll never have to really test that one out. Knight is starting to throw some emotes out. Say hello to his former teammate. Good to see they're a little bit cordial as his former mid laner is giving a shellacking towards his team. Double distorts on top of him. Just let him know he needs business.
Okay, still. We could keep talking about how BLG are winning this game right now, and they certainly are. 5,000 gold the advantage at 15.5 minutes, but Elk is hitting pretty dang hard at this point. Got himself the collector completed, well on the way towards that second item as well. For all of the benefits that Viper has been able to have down in the bottom line, 4-0-5 his score, only a 500 gold lead, so Elk has done a really good job of keeping himself at least toe-to-toe, picking up a couple of kills, doing well in terms of CS, and a Caitlyn who's doming people can be something to try to play around. Same thing with Xiaohu, right? He still does a lot of damage, a lot of burst is available. If you could find a pick potential onto Viper, just instantly take him out. Instantly take Jun out, for example. Then there is still a way to play back into this game as Weibo.
But the problem on the other side is that Shun, with a Crescent Guard up, you quite literally can't put any damage through, and you want to have a burst conversation. Look at Knight's build. I mean, that is as bursty as you can get as a mid laner right now.
Yeah, very much so. And he's got a lot of targets right here. You've got all 3 of the bottom side of the map players available to you to just instantly take out. And as much as Jiejie is going to be a little bit tankier, right, he can throw up the shield. He's not going to be as squishy as his peers with that Sundered. You're still going to die very, very quickly if Knight decides to pump full damage straight on into him. There's just a lot of different angles of threat right now. Knight, though, just going to have to jump away, taking a decent chunk of damage out of Jiejie, thinking about turning back, but Xiaohu walking over a ward is going to save Knight's life.
Yeah, don't push too far here, BLG. You are right in the groove spot, and you're playing to let Shun do anything he wants on this map. He is nearly perfect on the neutral objectives. He let 1 grub go to the wayside, but outside that, first 2 dragons are his, Rift Herald's his. The world is Shun's oyster. And back to what we talked about in the pre-show, right? We talked about Shun, how he's such a good complementary piece to the aggressive playstyle BLG want to play through their lanes, but I'm glad that he's reminding everybody, and more importantly Weibo, that when he wants to, he can turn that star power on himself.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Show up in this situation. If you've got all of these great carries around you, well, sometimes you can just take it on.
Oh,
Wait, that is...
my God. All right. All right, Viper has aimbot. Riot, help.
What? Completely blind snipe. During draft phase, I said, hey, if Viper's feeling good, if he's got those snipes on right here, this Ashe can just completely take over a game through pick potential. Well, it hasn't needed to do it through pick potential previously. You could just walk at people and fight. But if you're also going to be landing enchanted crystal arrows like that, Weibo's options in this game are rapidly dwindling.
You know what? I don't know why I ever doubted my goat Viper that he wouldn't be able to make Ashe look flashy. Right. I mean, he's making Ashe look flashy. In all reality, this is...
Okay, he's seen here, but you know he's just going to walk away in a straight line.
Did he? So he actually predicted this, Bloxxer, because he put it further down. Oh my God. He actually predicted exactly where Xiaohu would dash after seeing the arrow.
That might be one of the craziest predicts I've ever seen.
Oh my God. He has aimbot, but it's in his head.
There was a real thought process there of, hey, I bet he's going to just not move. He then sees me fire the arrow. He thinks it's going to be straight at me. I'm going to move down. Okay.
Oh.
There's also this. This is the other problem that you have as Weibo in this game. Slayer.
How do I commentate that, Bloxxer?
You don't. You don't. You just yell.
Oh, they're doing more. They're doing more. All right. Crescent guard forward from
Lord.
Shun, and that is Xiaohu using a defensive between worlds in an audacious position himself, though. He does put up the no auto attack zone, dashes over the wall to safety, and Weibo still can't even find that trait. It is an 8k gold lead before 20 minutes.
Yeah,
man,
that Spirit's Refuge right there. Just nothing you can do. He's just going to dash over the wall away from you. And, well, my one concern during the earlier portion of this game, about 6 minutes ago, was they've got themselves out to a pretty big gold lead as BLG, about 4,000, 5,000, but they hadn't really expanded it any further. Well, they've got themselves 1,000 gold a minute ahead since then, so things are getting better and better, and now potentially hunting for Zika. Can you one-shot him? No. Can Knight one-shot him? Maybe, but I do think they need to be a little bit careful. The Renekton, probably the only person at this point who can stand up to that level of damage.
Oh my God, Knight's setting a trap. They saw Xiaohu. They're going to use Bin to bait in, like, oh, it's a 1v2, it's a 1v2. Psych, it's actually a 2v2, make it a 3v2. Oh my God, it doesn't even show up before Knight deletes Zika. And Xiaohu, well, he doesn't get one shot, but he gets cut down by Shun. Weibo, none of the map is theirs. Everywhere they go, BLG are waiting, and now they've started Baron on spawn. 5 versus 3. Jiejie, Erha, and Elk are going to have to find a way to walk in. Arhoff misses the flash cocoon on the bin, and Knight's over the wall. Oh my God, he's trying to delete Elk, but he gets spotted. Ace in the hole back over. Bin's going to block it, but remember, the Soul Lanes are just playing bodyguard, because right now BLG are taking a 20-minute Baron. Bin will die to the burst from this trio out of Weibo. And Knight does an interesting distort. Oh no, they're going to go after him for that. His distort's on cooldown. All right, let's see how slippery this LeBlanc can be. There's the clone up. Knight's trying to trick them. He's going to distort away. Jiejie's going to flash after him, and Jiejie will find that shutdown. So Bilibili Soul Laners do a little bit of griefing, but it is a Baron still for their squad.
Hey, Bin dying there is absolutely fine. That body blocking was great from him. He just couldn't quite find an angle to go in with the Gnar, but still was absolutely fine. Knight, not entirely sure what he was doing, but I guess at this point in the game where you feel like a god and are invincible, it's worth having that Notion knocked down just a little bit. Still, you're going to get away with 3 Baron buffs in inventory as BLG, and they're already out to a massive advantage off the back of that initial Baron take. Now looking to open up the base in the mid lane. Pretty close to doing so, although may just have to back away now as the remaining members of Weibo take it out top lane, take a reset, and now coming back out onto the map, looking to compete over this Drake.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any competition going here. I think it's just Xun and Viper slaying a beast for fun. And that's what they'll do. They'll get onto Ocean Soul Point at 22 minutes after taking the first Baron of the game at 21.5 minutes. And we are still on that blistering pace for BLG to take themselves a 2-0 lead. And at this point, viewers, just sit back, relax, and watch some sick Ashe arrows and Knight doing this. Yep, that's a half health Elise going bye-bye. Thanks,
Yep,
Shadow
I mean,
Flame.
the Elise really has just not brought you anything so far in this game, and you have to imagine it's not going to be turned back on. Bin now potentially getting caught out on the side lane, although Bin still in a relatively strong spot, will try to make his way back away, a hop away. He's getting his Narbara.
I'm watching the Stand United cooldown. Oh, it's up in 10 seconds. I don't think... Oh, he goes Mega. Can he ult him off of him? Yes, he can. Does he have a hop in store? He has a slow. Oh, the Pierce of the Lance doesn't have enough damage. Bin just walks it out. He doesn't even need on. Because guess what On's doing. Yep.
Yeah, look at the rest of the map. That's going to be the bot lane tier 3 tower falling and the inhibitor soon to follow. The remaining members of Weibo trying desperately to defend their base, but they're now going to be contending with super minions pouring on in as well. And BLG, they aren't even done.
Grand Starfall, they're trying to make it a 5v4, but Xun covers enough for 3 men on his own. This Crescent Guard backs off all of Weibo, and he has the Jiejie's Knight, eviscerates Erha. Cover for the dive as well. On doesn't even die as Xun comes out of the Jiejie, does get pop up between worlds, but it's too little, too late. Viper spaces beautifully with his flash, and Knight gets to clean up all the rest of the kills with his Gnar next to him. Ashe Arrow just makes sure that Xiaohu has to burn his last dash cooldown, which will be his flash. And the mid laners will go blow for blow in the jungle for pride alone, because the headline here is BLG might have just had their most dominant game of 2026 to put themselves on series point with a date against Jiejie Gaming on the horizon.
That's it, 11,000, nearly 12,000 gold, the advantage at the end of that team fight. And I don't know if you were watching the player cams as that game was ending out, but On was laughing and smiling. He was very happy as that game closed out. What a performance from BLG. I mean, it starts down in the bottom lane, and it just continues on. It permeates out through the rest of the map, and at some point, about 7 minutes into that game, you knew that Weibo were in some serious trouble.
You know, I didn't get to make the point because the running joke was every time I wanted to bring it up, some action happened on the map, Bloxxer. But
true.
I gotta give applause on. Listen, he was the Elise player to Elk's Caitlyn all of last year on BLG. If you missed it, they played that bottom lane a lot whenever they wanted to smash bot lane, run away with the game. So he saw Elk have the gumption to pick it with his new fancy support, and he's like, "Nah, man, I started this with you. You don't think I know the tech to cancel it out?" And now they learned it's Shen support.
Yeah, and I've got to imagine that it was feeling a little bit telegraphed potentially with that Karma ban right at the very beginning of the bans,
oh, yeah,
right?
Totally.
And you're like, we're thinking something with dashes and something aggressive potentially coming down in the bottom lane. Now, maybe it's a Pyke and we are just completely throwing things out and going for something random, or it's going to be something really aggressive down in the bottom lane. And at the point at which the Nico's taken away, well, that would have been the other aggressive option. Cool. Maybe you're going to end up seeing something like the Elise. Now, it does end up coming through, and you just don't get anything going. But I really have to highlight that pathing that we saw right at the very beginning again, because the expectation in the bottom lane for BLG is that you're going to get pushed in because you're into this very aggressive bot lane, and then Xun can just take 3 camps, go straight to gank, get behind them, and go for the gank. It was nearly scuppered by the fact that BLG's bot lane were winning in the 2v2 that they shouldn't have been able to anyway, because of really nice taunts coming through from On. Still, Xun is able to make it work, and again, we're talking about how good Viper was in this game, how good On was, Knight was blowing people up. Xun is my MVP because he was everywhere.
If Xun does not win player of the game, I mean, I don't actually have any power to like do anything. Like the most I can say is I'll walk off the camera. Like that's that's our defiance here. Yeah, but no, I will get fiercely angry. I sulk when like I sulked. You sulked after Bin won the game 1 player of the game. Yeah. That's sulking. I will definitely be visibly angry if Shun doesn't win this because
very fair.
It doesn't show in the damage numbers, but this was a jungle canyon. Shun was in every lane. He makes the difference on some of those bot lane 2v2s early to make him 3v2s. BLG, Viper plays really well. Knight does a good job, but like they do not win a 24-minute game if they do not have Shun on this roster.
No, absolutely not. And looking at the gold graph right here, that is a steady climb up towards the mountain. Not what we expect. LPL gold graph is crazy. Like, that's not what we're expecting whatsoever. I mean, yeah, look at that. 68% on the kill participation. So there were solo kills happening around him. He'd fed enough kills into his players that they were then able to go and get stuff done. But it was just such a nice game overall from Jun. But it felt like everybody, again, pulled their weight. Nobody was slacking. Nobody was being slow in this one. Bin dies a couple times to some ganks happening top lane. But it felt like it was more Weibo throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the top lane because they had to try find a lane to get going.
Yeah, it really felt like their only option, and it really didn't provide any results outside of one little escapade. Again, we always joke about, like some early games, like decide games already, like the opening 10 minutes. Rarely do you see a game where I can aptly describe it, Bloxxer, by saying this game was won and lost in one single lane of League of Legends. There's 3 of them, but only one decided this match.
And I really like the fact that BLG both recognized that and kept exploiting it. Oh, we get a solo kill bot lane and then we'll move out onto the rest of the map. No, we're going to keep you in this bot lane and we are going to pummel you until you show that we can't do that anymore. And at no point were Weibo able to stop that from happening. So yeah, cool. We'll keep going. And it really exploded onto the rest of the map where Knight got to come down into the bottom lane, pick himself up a couple of kills, and then go back into his mid lane and start bullying out Xiaohu. And then you could go top lane and try get a couple kills into Bin, and he was then able to survive longer into those top lane dives, into those ganks happening, and buying more time for his team. This was a really cohesive team win, but obviously having as many kills funneled into as possible during the early game does make it easier to then play out the rest of the map.
Right. Yeah, that is a very valid point. Just for me, Bloxxer, this really felt like a ceremonial win for BLG, and not to get too ahead of myself because we're just now about to go into March on the calendar year. The big title games are still a decent ways away for BLG. They still have a lot of work to do. I mean, this is. We already talked endlessly about how crazy of an arrow that was. But the point I want to make here is this felt like the BLG style of dominating, winning games that they did in 2024, but now with a guy of Viper's caliber that it feels like every click he makes is correct. This really felt like a game that shows not only the LPL, but maybe even the world why BLG could have a shot at taking everything home.
It's the sort of cherry on top that you go, yeah, this is now looking like perfection. This is what we wanted to see. I will be super fascinated if BLG are able to win this one out 3-0, what they're going to be able to do in the next round versus JDG, because this is a JDG who have gone to all 5 games in their previous 2, who, as you said, have been able to throw some truly monumental leads, but also scrape themselves back from some pretty bad positions.
They've also been like the kryptonite to BLG in the regular split, right? JDG were the ones that ended the BLG perfect undefeated run to start the split 1, and they've always had BLG's number, so we'll have to see. We're not there just yet. Thankfully, there'll be no freakouts in the player of the game section. Shun earns himself his first player of the game of the playoffs there. I believe that's what that 1 in parentheses is for, and much deserved. This was one of the greatest games we've seen from Shun in a BLG jersey since he returned.
Absolutely. He has just been so nice for this team. He's really been looking good, but this is that performance that you're able to point to go, I'm that guy. I can do this for my squad. I can get my bot lane ahead. I can transition it into mid lane. I can move it onto the rest of the map. Beautiful, beautiful game out of Jun right there.
Well, what a road here for BLG that they are paving for themselves in the playoffs. They are up 2-0 over a Weibo team that's been playing with serious fire. They had the first team All-Pro marksman to sport as well with Elk after leaving this BLG team. but it's BLG up 2-0, and now we may start asking questions of, is this BLG rounding into perfection form that can make them not just split contenders, not just LPL title contenders, but even bigger? Weibo on the other side now are cornered. Can they put up any sort of fight after getting pummeled in Game 2? We'll have to find out. They'll have first selection and more to themselves to try and keep this series alive. Game 3, BLG Weibo Gaming coming your guys' way after another short break.